What's up, YouTube? It's the Wisconsin guy again. Well, we had regionals yesterday, and I got a shiny new Blackwing Armwing Armor Master mat, and I would like to profile the deck that I topped with for you, YouTubers. We have 3 Light and Darkness Dragons. Sorry if this is a little sloppy. 3 Raizas. Oh, by the way, this is Frog Monarchs, and this deck is incredibly good, and the only thing that this deck has a hard time against is Gladiator Beasts, which no one's really playing right now, but I'll get into the matchups a little bit more later. 3 Caius, 3 Substitoads. This and these 3 Swap Frogs are the main point of the deck. You basically just, like the Substitoad Swap Frog FTK, you accelerate out your frogs in the graveyard, and then basically every turn after that you just sack for a Monarch or Light and Darkness Dragon. 3 Faders, 2 Thestaloses, which rounds out our tribute monsters, 2 Cybers, which this deck can get a little clogged, I guess. Your hands can be kind of dead sometimes, so these help a lot, and they make Gladiator Beast a lot better of a matchup. We have 2 Frogs, 1 Ronintoadin, 1 Tragoedia, which I'm thinking of cutting that because it's not that useful, and Gorz, which is same as Tragoedia, because this deck keeps incredible field presence. You usually always have something on the field. The only time you don't is if you got Torrented or you got Bottomless, because other than that, they aren't doing much against your monsters, because your monsters are always bigger than theirs, and they always get rid of theirs. On to the spell and traps. Storm. Brain. I'll move these over here. Typhoon. 3 soul exchanges. That's how we get rid of the Stardust Dragons and the other synchros. And 3 enemy controllers. This card is literally the MVP of the whole deck. You can bring back Frog in standby phase, chain enemy controller, sack the Frog, and bring it back again. And this allows for trading your 1 card for their 1 monster, and you put Light and Darkness Dragon on the field. So it's this is definitely the card that did the most work for me yesterday. Traps, doesn't want to run many traps, just 2 Wing Blasts and 2 Dust Tornadoes. I mean, you don't want your Monarchs to be trading for Bottomless Trap Holes or Torrentials, as I stated before, so you want to get them off the field early with the Wing Blasts or Dust Tornadoes. And this card allows you to thin your hand out more, like get rid of the dead Ronintoadin, Swap Frogs, Treeborn Frogs, etc. Because there were a few games yesterday where I would just draw like 2 Substitoad, 2 Swap Frog, Treeborn Frog, and you have to wait to get the Monarchs going. And if you can't get the Monarchs going, well, you lose. But luckily, you guys have pretty fat defense, and you can stall pretty easily. The main card in this deck that not a lot of people see the combos with is this guy, Swap Frog. This card is ridiculous. Generally, with him, although you don't get this off very often, you can summon Swap Frog and return Light and Darkness Dragon in your hand. This card isn't an effect, it is a cost to activate. So bouncing Light and Darkness Dragon, you get to reuse Light and Darkness Dragon quite a bit. On average, I would say I dropped Light and Darkness Dragon about 2 times a game, usually. The only person I lost to was one of my friends from locals, and I had a brain fart and played really badly. Other than that, matchups, Blackwing, this deck destroys Blackwings. Blackwings doesn't do anything against this deck because you're dropping bigger monsters than they are, and you're removing any synchro monsters that they're summoning. Infernities is kind of hard to play against. The other version of this deck runs Spiritual Water Art Oi. So turn 1 you play Water Monster and Water Art them, which makes, like, it's a lot better against Infernities. But generally, you have Trip Fader and 2 of the Battle Stoppers. You have Gorz and Trag. So the chances of you getting OTK'd aren't that likely. Against Sabers, the only way that they're going to beat you, really, is if they loop you. I played Sabres in top 8, I believe, and I didn't have problems with it at all. They have a really hard time getting rid of Light and Darkness Dragon, and you, by them summoning tuners to the field, which they have to, you just take them and synchro with them, which is the only way this deck can synchro, because you can't synchro with Ronintoadin. The mirror match is really boring. It's whoever gets Thestalos loop with Swap Frog basically wins the game. Quick draw, this deck, it really just destroys quick draw. I mean, quick draw wastes a lot of cards really fast, and then you just start sacking for Monarchs, and it just puts you way ahead of them. I'll go over my side and my extra. My extras is really unimportant in this deck. I mean, you could play anything. I'm playing 2 Chimera Forge of Dragons, which is the only really important card in the extra deck. Goyo, Ancient Fairy, Thought Ruler, Colossal, Airbellum, Android, Black Rose, Red Dragon, Stardust, Cadister, Bryonac, Armory Arm, and Mistworm. I mean, chances are you're not going to synchro in a game. I synchroed 2 times the whole day, but having it is always important. I'd always have it in every deck because you're playing Brain Control in every deck, and you get a chance to sync sometimes. Side deck, my side deck I threw together really fast, but some of the cards I want to point out are really important. Unimportant ones are crossouts. The important cards are this guy, Angel 07. Believe it or not, he won me about 4 or 5 games. And this guy, which does the exact same thing as Angel 07 basically, but Angel 07 is a 2-sack, and he's a 3-sack. And this deck, you can play Obelisk in the side deck too, which some people are doing, but sacking for 3 monsters is not that easy in this deck. But Angel 07, Skill Drain, works amazingly. It just locks down most of the decks, and if they don't immediately have an answer to this Angel, they're going to lose. And by the time you drop this guy, you've used Caiuses and Raizas, etc. to bait out their outs. And so generally, Angel 07 is going to hit the board, and they're going to lose because of it. This card, I played against Herald of Perfection deck yesterday, and this card, I played it, and my opponent had nothing to do. A lot of decks just don't play things that can get over Angel 07, or Plasma for that matter. Well, you don't want Infernity to beat you. I side 2 Crevice and 3 DD Crows, but I mean, you can side those in against anything. I side these goes in against the mirror match to hit their multiple Treeborn Frogs. Gotham Z-Call, you can side a pair of these. When I played Sabres in top 8, it helped, I guess. I mean, I brought back Full Helm and Bogart and stops his attack, Synchro, etc. Card that's been pretty hot, Swallow Flip. I don't really like this card. It wasn't that useful, but I mean, it's still a great card. Dust Tornado, the 3rd one, and Book of Moon. I'd probably side more Book of Moons just because it's an answer to things that if you see game 1, then you have most of your answers in your main deck in the form of monsters. But if you like against Blackwings, I would bring a pair of Book of Moons in to stop their whirlwinds and such. That's about it for this deck. If you're interested in playing this deck or want to talk about it, PM me, comment, or whatever. I would suggest trying the Spiritual Water.oi version with Mind Crush and Trap Dust Shoot, though, because that's also a really good version of this deck. But I just prefer this one. Thanks for watching.